Hi, I'm going to do the November 2023 paper 1 paper with you. Today, I'm just doing the SQL part, and this is the practical paper. So let's first read the introduction. Rent My Parking is a company that provides parking bays to car owners. You have been hired to help manage their database system. The database stores the parking bay details and the related vehicle details. Parking bay owners rent their parking bay at a daily rate set by the owner. Premium parking bays are covered and include security. A registered vehicle can be parked at any of the bays, and one bay can house any of the vehicles, provided it is on a different day. You're provided with a database called Rent My Parking. So this is section A, the SQL, and question 1. There are 3 tables, table cars. It contains the car registration, the model, the color, and the owner of the car. There's an example of the data. Then table parkings has got a parking ID, an address, a daily rate, which is how much it costs to rate the parking bay per day. The date added, that was the date the parking was added to the database, and premium parking, which is a Boolean, saying whether the parking is covered and secure. If it is, it'll be true or yes. Okay, there's an example of the data in table parkings. Table rented parkings. This contains the dates a parking bay was rented and the vehicle's registration. So the fields are the car's registration, the parking ID, the start date, and the end date. That is when the parking booking reservation started and ended. So there are the 3 tables. I've got the database open over here. Let's look at the 3 tables. We've got table cars, table parkings, and table rented parkings. So what I like to do to start off, I go to database tools, and before I actually start the queries, I go to relationships, and I set up, I just put the 3 tables here, just drag them in, and I try and look at how the tables are related, because you'll find the fields are related. So we've got car registration here and car registration here. So I'm actually going to put this table in the middle. Let's put it in the middle there. And I'm going to click on car registration and drag my mouse to car registration there and create a relationship. I'll just say create. And then here I've got parking ID. Here I've got parking ID. I'm going to click there and drag to there so that I can create a relationship there. I just find that this gives me a really nice summarized view of all the tables and all the fields in one spot. And I don't need to page up and down through the paper, checking what fields I've got. I've got them all in one place here. What I'm going to do next is use my snipping tool and quickly use this snipping tool and quickly do a snip of this so I can display it in a corner of my screen while I'm working. Okay, so we won't need the relationships anymore. I don't need to save that. I've got it. Okay, let's carry on with the paper. So before I carry on, actually, I'm going to put that on the left. I'm going to put this on the left of my screen, and let's put the database on the right. And what we're going to do is use my snipping tool, and we will keep this displaying this down here so that we can use it as we work. Here it says display the bays that are premium parking bays sorted in ascending order of the daily rate. List all the fields in the table. And if you look at what we've got here, parking ID, address, daily rate, date added, and premium parking, you can see at a glance, looking at your snipping tool, at the snip at the bottom, this is obviously from table parkings. So we just need to do a query on table parkings. I'm just going to close the tables on the right, move that aside. So I'm going to create a query design and go to SQL. I'm working in Microsoft Access, and I know not everybody uses it, but so as you can see, when you look here, all 5 fields are being selected. So we can say select star from, from PBL parkings. And we won't want those that are premium parking bays. So we're going to have to say where premium parking equals true or yes, where premium parking equals, I just like to use true. And then it says sorted in ascending order of daily rate. So we'll need an order by daily rates. And that's it. We can then run our query and check that we're getting all the right data. And at a glance, I can see that that looks good. My data added is displaying in the different direction, but all fine. Query looks great. Okay, let's move on to 1.2. Display the cars with the newer Gauteng registration numbers. A newer Gauteng registration number ends with GP and has a space for the third character. For example, there's CH23BFGP is a new Gauteng registration, but CDF671GP is not. List all the fields in the table. So create, query design, SQL. Now, what table are we going to use? We want car registration model color owner. You can see at a glance at the bottom, table cars is the one we want. Are we displaying everything? Yes, all 4 fields. So we can say select star from PVL cards. And then we're going to need a where clause because we only want the registration numbers that end with GP. So we're going to have to say where car registration, but we only want the last 2 characters. So we need to say right, bracket, car registration, comma 2 to get the last 2 characters. And where that is equal to, quote, GP. Remember that you can use the single quote or double quote. And we want that space. So we want to know that the third character is a space. So we're going to have to use the mid command. Mid, car registration, comma, starting at the third character. So 1, 2, 3, comma 1 equals quote, space, quote. Okay. And let's try and run that. And it's come up perfectly correct. Number 1.3, the manager at RentMyParking is concerned that some normal non-premium bays added in 2022 may be more expensive than premium bays. She wants to see a list of all the premium bays rental costs, as well as any normal bay joined in 2022, charging more than 135 Rand. List the address, daily rate, date added, and premium parking fields for parking bays that are either premium parking or have a daily rate above 135 Rand joined in 2022. Now this is for 6 marks. Let's quickly put the snipping tool back there and let's see, we want address, daily rate, date added, and premium parking. So definitely this is a query from the table parkings table. So let's create our query. You see how I just do a little bit at a time. I'm going to just do what first, the query, and then I add the where clause. You don't have to do everything all at once. Just do what you know how first, and then worry about the other clauses. So we set it from table parkings. Now we're going to do our where clause. So what do we need? Parking bays that are either premium parking. So we're going to say where premium parking equals true or equals yes. Premium parking equals, you can say yes. All right. And it says or, so let's put or. They have a daily rate above 135 and joined in 2022. So now we're going to need a bracket because we've got something and something. We'll put a big bracket around the and part. So where daily rate is greater than 135, and now we want to know that the date added is 2022. So if you want the year out of date added, you have to say year bracket dates added. And that must equal 2022. So that's the query. Let's run it and check we're getting all the right thing. We've got Mockingbird Junction, Wabisa Court, Jennifer Terrace, Sherman Crossing, etc. And it ends with Vernon Drive. So we've got it right. Right, 1.4. Display the details of parking bays with the highest daily rate. List all the fields in the table. Now, I was looking at the memo before I started this, and I've got a different way of doing it from the memo. So let's see if my way works. Now we want the highest daily rate. So I'm going to say top 1. List all the fields from the start table. So top 1 stop. Which table? Oh, okay. It's the parking ID, address, daily rate, date added. It's table parkings again. So from TBL parkings. Okay. Now, the highest daily rate. So it's going to be order by, daily rate descending. DESC, okay, because we want the top 1. And because they're both 150, I'm hoping both will display. Let's have a look. And there you go, both displaying. Cool. All right, now if you wanted to know how the memo did it, I'll show you now. It's number 1.4. See, this is how they did it. Select star from table parkings where daily rate equals brackets. Select max daily rate from table parkings. So just a different way of doing it. You know, I'm sure that my way would have also gotten the marks. Right, 1.5. Display the cars that have not been rented. These cars will not have their registration number listed in the table rented parkings table. Table rented parkings. It will not be in there. Display the car registration and model fields. So we want all the cars, but in our where clause, we will have to say not in table rented parkings. Okay, so let's create that. I'm going to say select. We just want car registration, comma, model. Now we've got to think which table are we working from. Display the cars that have not been rented. We want all the cars. So from table cars. BL cars. Remember that SQL is not case sensitive. I just like to use case to make it clearer for you. But if you want to type all in capitals or all in lowercase, no problem. Right. I just find it makes it clearer if I keep the special words as capitals. Right. So from table cars, and then we're going to have to say where, and we want where car registration is not in, and then we're going to say select TBL rented parkings dot car registration from TBL rented parkings. So it's going to check for each car registration and model that it finds in table cars. It's going to check, Is that car registration in table rented parkings? If it is, it won't display it. If it is not in the whole table rented parkings, it will display it. Let's run that and check. And there you go. We've got the Ford Mustang, Honda Civic, GMC Sierra, and so on. Okay, let's carry on. Number 1.6, determine how many times each parking bay has been rented out. How many times? Okay, think about that. Show the address and the number of times rented for those parking bays that have been rented 3 or more times. You see this word number of more times, count, whatever. This is a count star command. It's an aggregate function. Remember, there are five aggregate functions: min, max, sum, and AVG. They're all 3 letters, and then count is the longer word one. All right. So show the address and number of times. Where will that come from? If it's address, that comes from table parkings, but number of times is going to come from table rented parkings, right? Because the number of times is not in table parkings. So we're going to have to combine 2 tables for this, right? So we want to select address and count stop from TBL parkings. Oops, not Prackings. Okay. But can you see the number of times it's been rented is not in table parkings. It's parking ID, address, daily rate, date, added, premium parking. So to get the number of times, we need to go to table rented parkings. We need to do a combined query, table rented parkings. Okay, now we need to join the 2 tables. This is why I like displaying this with the snipping tool, because look at my join here. All right, it shows me that I've got to say where TBL parkings.parking ID equals TBL rented parkings.parking ID. Okay, nice to see at a glance. Dot parking ID equals TBL rented parkings dot parking ID. Right, that's how the 2 tables are joined. But now we've also got to do a group by. One sec, group by address. Because whenever you use an aggregate function, whatever field you're choosing with it, you've got to group by that. So group by address, and it says that have been rented 3 or more times. So we're going to say having count star 3 greater than or equal to 3. All right, let's hope this works. Okay, let's run it. And there you go. 3 records come up, 3 results, and that is perfectly correct. If you want to look at the SQL again, select address, comma, count star from table parkings, table rented parkings, where TBL parkings.parking ID equals TBL rented parkings.parking ID, group by address, having count star greater than or equal to 3. Next, we've got calculate the rental amount whenever a vehicle has used a parking bay. The rental amount is the difference in days between the start date and the end date multiplied by the daily rate. Display the car registration, owner, daily rate, start date, end date, and the rental amount as a field called rented amount. So we are going to show the car registration. I'm actually going to annotate here. The car registration, the owner. Well, car registration could come from either. Yeah, but we need start date, end date, We need daily rate. Ooh, that comes from table parkings. Can you see we're going to have to select all three tables? And the rental amount, that is a calculated field. The rental amount is going to be the difference between the two dates times the daily rate. Okay. So let's put the pencil down and create a new query. All right. Let's first select all our fields. Car registration, owner. Now we want daily rate. Start date, comma, end date, comma. Now we need to subtract the end. Let's carry on the next line. Bracket end date minus start date times daily rate. If I'm not mistaken, end date minus start date is going to give us a number of days. So that'll work. And they want an alias there, and they call that rent amount. So as rent amount. Now we need to select all three tables because as I've shown you in my diagram at the bottom, I'm using stuff from table cars, table rented parkings, and table parkings. So I'm going to list all three tables here: table cars, table rented parkings, and table parkings. Now I want to join them where TBL cars dot car registration equals TBL rented parkings. Can you see how that join is showing you exactly which fields you must say are equal here? And TBL rented parkings dot, how are the other two joined? Parking ID. Parking ID equals TBL parkings dot parking ID. So let me just draw that in for you. I knew because of this join here and this join here, that's how I knew to do this and this. Okay, it makes it so much easier for you. Right, let's remove those two. And what have we finished yet? I think we might be finished actually. Is there an order by? Calculate the rent. Always reread your question. Check you've done every single little detail. The rental amount, whenever a vehicle has used a parking bay, the rental amount is the difference in days, multiplied. Display car registration, owner, daily rate, start date, end date, and the rental amount. I think we've done everything. And they're only showing us the first 10 records there. Okay, let's try and run it. Oops, I've got something wrong here. Oh, okay. Obviously, I've chosen car registration, but it's in two tables. I must specify which table it comes from. And I want to use the table rented parkings one. That's what I want. I can try run it again. And looks like it's giving me exactly the right information. They have only shown us the first 10 records. But my answer is looking perfect there. Okay, let's clear the drawings and we can carry on. 1.8, change the model field in table cars to store VW instead of Volkswagen. Create an SQL statement to edit the model field by changing all cars whose model starts with Volkswagen to start with VW. Now I want to go check. Let's look at table cars. Where are all the ones that start with Volkswagen? Oh, there it is. You see, stretch that out. So they don't want Volkswagen Golf. They want VW Golf. And so on. I think there only are actually two. Let's create another query. Let that out the way. Now we're going to do an update query. Update. What table are we updating? Table cars. We need to set the field called model equal to, quote, VW, quote, maybe we put a space there, plus we're going to want the right-hand side of the field. We want everything except for the, oh, sorry, we want to remove the Volkswagen. So we want the Golf on the end or the Beetle on the end. How do we know how many, how to do that? Well, we want the right-hand side of the model field minus the Volkswagen part. We need to count how many characters there are. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. Oh, let's say 10. So we're going to use the everything but the 10 spaces. So we're going to say that we want the model field, but we want the right-hand side of the model field. How do we know how many characters? Well, we want all the characters of the model field minus 10 or minus 11 if you want to remove the space as well. So we want, it's not model.length, it's length bracket model minus 10. There you go. And we need a where clause. It's where the left-hand side of model, comma 10 equals, quote, Volkswagen, close quote. Right, so we wanted to remove the word Volkswagen by saying right brackets model, comma length of the model field minus 10. So in other words, if it's got 10 for Volkswagen, 11 for the space, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there are 15 characters in Volkswagen Golf that we're going to remove 10 and land up with space Golf because we're taking away from the right-hand side of model minus the Volkswagen part. If we run this, it's going to tell us, oops, I've done something wrong. Len, I think it's, you see, that's the advantage of working here. I think it might be Len. Let's try that. Okay, it says you're about to update 2 rows. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to run it, but I trust those are the right 2 rows. Looks good. Write a query that will remove all the parking bays added before 2018. Okay, let's create a query. And we want to remove. So this is a delete. Delete from, which table is this? Let's quickly put our, where's our snipping tool? Right, all parking bays. So it's definitely table parkings, right? Delete from table parkings. Oops, why do I keep spelling it wrong? Table parkings. Okay. And we need a where clause. Where all parking bays added before 2018. So we're going to need to take the year out of date added, where year brackets date added is less than 2018. I think that's it. Let's run that. It says you're about to delete 4 rows, which looks right because they've got 4 rows there, and I trust it's correct. And that's it. So I hope this helped you, and I will carry on with the paper next week. And let me know if there's anything you'd like me to cover in these lessons. Otherwise, have a great week, and I will see you next time.